Hi, everyone. Guess what I have today? I have another special guest from our Wizard of Oz styled theme elopement that was extra special for me because I don't think people realize how this all started from a random idea of a silver dress where we decided that the 10 person was going to marry somebody, in the main characters. And then all of a sudden we had all these ideas kind of clash together. And so today I have Grace with me. And we are going to talk about the cake that she brought
Yay.
to this madness that which was beautiful because I think you actually started building the cake before we built out everything else, I feel like.
Yes, definitely.
And so
Yep.
go ahead and introduce yourself real quick and we're going to start talking about this cake. And if you're
Awesome.
watching this, I have a piece of the cake behind me that is up on my screen.
Yeah, you've got the top portion. Hi, I'm Grace with Designs by Gigi, Boutique Bakery. We're located in Irving. I met Jen through just social media. We've developed a great friendship. This is our second photo shoot that we did together.
Yes, we
Style
did
shoot.
Phantom. Yep, we did
Yeah, we
Phantom
did
and
Phantom
Wizard.
first, and that was outrageous because I had that cake from before for another photo shoot, and she loved it, and we used that one. But as to this one, Jen reached out to me since we had done that previous photo shoot, and she goes, "What do you think about the Wizard of Oz?" And I'm like, "Let's do it! I want an anti-gravity cake. I've been dying to do it." Unfortunately, you can't see it in the picture. You're seeing the top portion of the cake, which is literally floating over their honeymoon suitcase. But it was interesting. She just gave me a couple of ideas, gave me a couple of pictures of the bride and groom, who they were going to be, and I just went crazy with it. The venue that Jen chose was awesome. That we've shot there before as well, and they love steampunk, so I threw steampunk in there, and it just became what it is. I mean, it was awesome. We had a great time.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, the reason why I'm doing these interviews right now is because we have, after much patience and really eagerness to release this photo shoot, is Offbeat Wed is working on the article now to release all of our images and all the work that we did months
Amazing.
ago.
Yes. Yes,
And
it's
I
been
thought this
months.
was a great opportunity to see a little bit, literally behind the curtain
That's
of the
right.
Wizard of Oz, what we did as a team. And each individual had some kind of piece into this. And there was a couple of things that I know that I've already touched on in other interviews, but for today, I definitely wanted to touch on what your thoughts were for the cake, because I know that when you started the design, you were going a pretty literal interpretation of the couple, which I love that because we have the blue hair going.
Definitely.
And the one thing that I so much appreciate that nobody is going to ever understand is how much I loved the funnel veil.
Yes, I still have it. Oh, I should have brought it out. It's in
Yeah,
the
you should
office
be wearing
somewhere.
it.
I know, it would have been great. As a matter of fact, the granddaughters love it. They find it and they start playing around with it. You know, you gave me the idea and I went out there and I built it and it was great. It looked awesome on the bride. So
And I
then we
love
incorporated it into the cake. I had to do it. So
I love the fact that of all the ideas that we had walked through together in this group message,
yeah,
that's the one thing that I don't know why I was so excited about it, but it made me so excited to have a representation of the Tin Man
that's
and the
right.
10 person, to have a funnel that had a veil that just made sense for the character. And I think
Yes,
the only thing that there was maybe one or two things that we couldn't make happen. I think Kate and I talked about, we wanted a field of poppies and we wanted to do, there's a whole bunch of grandiose things that we had ideas for that we just couldn't make happen. But I think what we all brought to the picture of it all was key elements that we could look back on the photography, look back on the story
right.
of the couple, and still be happy with what we were able to do in the amount of time that we had. Like in
Yeah,
this is image of the cake, he's got this beautiful emerald green jacket,
right.
but I remember that they were trying to order one and it didn't fit right or feel right. And so
It
we
just
ended up
didn't come in on
going,
time either. Yeah.
yes, and we ended up going with more of the scarecrow lion look anyway, which I think was perfect for him.
Right.
And Chris was on board with it. We just threw a little bit of straw in him, and yeah, we stuffed him full of straw,
I
and
remember
then
we were, yeah, that was so funny. I was like, he is going to be so itchy after this.
Yeah, and it was so funny because we were talking about, and I think this goes back to the funnel veil story, is some of us were putting things together at the last minute. Like we
Yep,
had these last minute ideas. And so I'm just so grateful that you pulled off one of my last minute ideas, because at my last minute I was like trying to find straw to make sure that my head idea matched up with the outcome. So getting back to the full cake, I know that I'm teasing everybody right here with just a tiny bit of the cake. Don't
yep,
worry, when the whole thing comes out, you're going to see all of the images that they're going to post on the blog. Offbeat Wed is going to do another great job. I gave them the whole story. I love it.
awesome.
So what I'm curious about is I know that when I first approached you with the idea, you immediately thought a hot air balloon. So
Yes.
what kind of took you to that place?
I went back to the original Wizard of Oz. How
Yeah.
did Dorothy get to Oz? You know, it was the tornado, but how is she going to make it home? And now this
Mm.
couple is going home. How do they go home? On a hot air balloon.
Oh my
So,
gosh. See, I
yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that way. Very much like how Kate was talking about she loved the yellow brick road.
Hmm.
And when as she came in at the last minute with her yellow petals and roses, I was just like, y'all were like we were like intertwined in our creative
We were.
brains. I really
We
feel
were.
like we
We were
were because we were
much.
talking a lot, but I feel like this particular shoot, there was a lot of leeway for imagination and just kind of running
Yes,
with it.
there
Did you
was.
feel like you were able to like not only challenge yourself, but were you feeding off everybody else's creativity as well?
I was feeding off of everybody's creativity, especially when I was putting together the character of the groom. I
Mm.
wanted him to be part wizard, but yet have that wonderful lion's mane, which was great because the groom had long hair.
He really
Not as
was. He
not
really was
as
a
full
lion.
as my lion, but and then we wanted to throw in the aspect of the scarecrow as well. So I did the same thing. I shoved some straw in his neckline and on his sleeves. So it was just all coming together. I was listening. I was like, oh, Rebecca has blue hair. My bride has to have blue hair. Let's go for it.
Yes.
It's great with the silver. So it was just little things all coming together. And then I was like, yep, I'm going to put them in a hot air balloon and it's going to float over the wedding cake.
And
So
I love the fact that because not only was there a beautiful suitcase when y'all see the full totality of this cake, there was a full suitcase, but there was also like a yellow brick road under that.
yes,
So
there
I was
was.
just like, there were so many layers, literal layers to
Mhm.
this cake. And then you add in the steampunk elements, which you can see behind me, because that is a reflection of Lizzy Gator. And part of
Yeah.
what they do is their art is very steampunk. It's very
Yes.
metal. It's very gear focused. They have a fully functioning, they call it the time machine in the venue, right?
I
It's
love that
very
clock. Oh my God.
mechanically
Yes.
steampunk with lighting and super fun. I know that they would probably have a train on site if they could. Like I've heard Chris say that he'd like to
Oh,
have a
I can
train.
imagine. I can see him. He is so great at welding. I can see him put one together. Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
definitely.
making a little, Airbnb train car or something, that would be
Yep,
fun.
definitely.
So, and
Definitely,
then when
definitely.
it came to making an anti-gravity cake, like most of us who don't work in this medium don't even know what that means. So when you say anti-gravity cake, what do you really mean by that? Because I'm trying to like
It's a
understand
cake
the design.
floating over another cake, but there's so much engineering involved that yes, you see all the sugar paste work, but there's a lot going on underneath it to get it to stand up, but yet it looks like it's floating and it had movement because if you tap the cake, your balloon would would swirl.
Like
So yeah, it was fun, especially transporting it. I was like, oh my God, I hope it doesn't fall apart. But it made it. So it
I was
was
gonna
it was
say,
fun. There was a lot of engineering involved, a
yeah.
lot of hours of putting it together as to what am I going to put underneath to make it stand? Do I need wood? Do I need metal? But I'm not going to give away the secrets, but it's there. There's, like
I
I
was
said,
gonna
a lot
say,
of
like
engineering.
whatever you did to make it happen, it sounds like you put in the hard work to do it, and I think we're very much appreciative of that. And
Yes.
another layer to this dessert slash cake part of the styled shoot was the fact that I had another last minute idea.
Munchkins.
And
I
I've
love that.
already shared in previous interviews, which is totally fine to share again because this is the power of connection and creativity with other team members when you're working on a styled shoot. Is that
Definitely.
when we had Brian from Vows and Speeches come in, I read his vows that he wrote and I was like, wow, these are really great and they're super fun and whimsical. And then he gets to the part of the munchkins and the coffee and I was confused for a second until I remembered that, oh yeah, he's from the Northeast. They have a lot of Dunkin' Donuts up
That's
there.
right.
And it didn't occur to me that yes, Dunkin' Donuts, Munchkins, donut
Mhm.
holes.
Yeah.
So when I read the vows is when I got the idea. And again, as I'm spewing all of these ideas for the last minute,
I
the last
gotcha. I got
minute.
a macaroon tree. We can
Yeah,
use
so
it.
she brought in her macaroon tree or whatever you want to call it. Um and I thought to myself, this will give me what I want. I just need to go to Dunkin' Donuts and pray they have all of the donuts that I need for enough variety. So, and
Right.
that was another last minute run to Michael's too, was to get some of the fillers, the silver and white balls to represent not
Right.
only the Tin Man, but say Glinda's globe as she and bubbles
Right.
as they float in. I was kind
Mhm.
of going for that fight, that feel. And I know that you were there with me as I was styling it a little bit. And I did one, was it like a French twisted donut for the top? And I can't remember
Yes, you
what it was
did. You did
called.
a crawler, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I was like, I had this idea in my head, and I was like, well, if I buy a twisty donut and then stick something in it, then it's perfect. And then I alternated and designed it from the top down, and then I got it to a place where I was happy to photograph it. Like I would have this at my event or wedding. It looks yummy, and then it photographed really nicely. And then at that time is when everything came together for the sweetheart table, and that the kind of like that little munchkin tower was the last little bit that I needed for that table.
Right.
And then we had the cake on its kind of like its own little area because
Mhm.
I did feel like there was so much going on the sweetheart table that it kind of needed a spot for itself to
Right. It
shine.
needed
That way I
a
could photograph it.
showcase.
And another thing about your cake, obviously, which I know that you do this in the design, like you have to like as a photographer, I had to be willing to go three-dimensional taking these
Yeah.
photos. So I had to take it from so many different angles to where I felt like it gave it even justice.
Oh, thank you. My personal favorite is when you have the couple behind the cake in the same
Oh,
position where
yeah.
you can see right through and they're in the same position, everything. It was so perfect.
Yes, that
It
was
was
a really,
wonderful.
really cool thing that I know I added that at the very end for that idea. And part of the styled shoot is also thinking about, and we were discussing this earlier, um, how to showcase each vendor's input and give it justice in the photography. And I felt like, the couple would enjoy that photo, but I also knew that you would probably enjoy that
Oh
photo.
yeah,
And I know that
exactly.
I'm also shooting for myself too. So I was like, well, I'm going to enjoy this photo too.
That's right. Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like a styled shoot in general, like I've mentioned in previous conversations, I feel like it's a good team effort when we're all getting together and sharing ideas, but we're also creating in the moment sometimes. We're styling
Yep.
in the moment. Wedding days can be very similar, but I also feel like on a styled shoot, we get a little bit more creative freedom in we don't have a always have a set timeline, I think. Like, we
That's
do
right.
and we don't. Like, we have a set amount of time, but we're not on the timeline of 50 people waiting on us at the reception.
Right.
So, is there anything else you might wanna add to, like, wedding days in general when we're working styled shoots versus weddings?
I would say, like you said, we have a lot more liberty, a lot more time to do things. Our bride and our groom are sometimes models, or they are sometimes the real bride and groom just wanting to get into the fun of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have 20 other photographers. Luckily, it's just you. And these are the style shoots I really like because we get to collaborate more with you. We might see something in our eye and say, hey, Jen, can you take a picture through here? Because
Mhm.
now it's a picture that we want. And then you see it and it's a picture that you want.
Yeah.
Um, Compared, yeah, to the wedding. On a wedding, you are on a strict timeline. You are working with that event planner. And that event planner wants that, let's say the cake cut at 4, you better make sure that cake is getting cut at 4, and the DJ better be involved in getting the cake cutting and everything all together. There we didn't. We could play around with it. Oh, we finished with the cake. Well, we can always come back to the cake. Let's go to something else. And and the great thing is the team that we had on this style shoot, we all got along great. It was perfect. I've been involved in other style shoots where I've met event professionals, and I've noticed that their way of doing things and communicating is not the way of I like to communicate, and it's probably somebody I don't want to work with again. So doing style shoots does put you out there in the community to know who is your preferred vendors to work with. And that way it makes it better for your bride and groom if you have a group that collaborates really well together compared to people that don't know each other. All of a sudden they get there the day of the wedding and then you can have chaos. Or same thing for a style shoot,
Yeah.
especially the ones where you have like 20 photographers and they have all these little stations, then you're having to move and going around. What I loved about you is you set up the cake, you put it where you wanted it, and it didn't move. I've been in style shoots where literally I've had to move the cake 15 and 20 times because they had all those stations
Oh my
and they
gosh.
wanted to move it again. And I said, no, never again. So
Yeah, I was gonna
it's the good
say,
and the bad, and you learn.
and
Yeah.
I was gonna share again the fail. I felt that like they were failures. It wasn't that like they were set up wrong or anything. It was that the style and the modality of certain styled shoots just don't work for me. And I think I'm so thankful that so many people understand the way I work styled shoots now. It's just I have to shoot it like a real wedding, otherwise it doesn't work for me. And
Mhm.
I'll say it again, like when I did the styled shoot that was very beautifully set up, we had like 4 couples on site, maybe 5 couples, and flat lays and shoes they weren't even wearing, which was so weird to me. Like, how do I photograph
Oh,
shoes that they're not even wearing as a detail of a wedding that doesn't exist? It just blew my mind. Like,
right.
I could not. It's like, when people film movies and they film them backwards, I can't do that. Like, I just realized that about myself. And it took me a couple of years to figure out how to do it in a way that I could feel I don't want to say in control, but in a way it is. I'm in control of something where I'm telling the story
Right.
versus the story just happening and then I'm capturing the story. Like I'm kind of making the story happen in a timeline that works for my brain
Right.
versus a whole bunch of different sections and stations where yeah, maybe I get some great photos, but then it's so weird. I don't know if you feel this ever, but like I don't feel as invested if it's not like a full story. It's like
Yeah,
it's like a real wedding.
definitely.
Like a real wedding, I'm fully invested in everything beginning to end. But if it's in chapters that I don't understand, I don't get the whole book. It's like I don't get it.
Yep, I understand you.
I saw a little
Totally.
hand
I
back
agree.
there.
Yes, they want to say hi. That is Amelia
Hi.
Rose. Hi. Hi. And
Hello.
that, oh, down here, Olivia Page. Those are my little.
Hello. Hi.
Yes, Jen has pink hair. Yes.
Yes, and I've got the cake behind me too.
Yeah, that's the cake that's in Grammy's office. Yes.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like, being that we've done at least those two together so far. The Phantom of the Opera was great because it was so fun that you had a cake already. I forgot how many tiers it was. I probably said like 4 or 5. It could have been 6 tiers for all I know, but it was like it was the perfect fit for something that I needed like right away. And we were kind of laughing about how the candles melted fairly quickly on that little candelabra. And I thought it
Yes,
was
they
really
did.
funny.
Oh, that was so funny. Yeah, I had candle drips on the cake and I said, even better, I'll get my own candelabra and it's there in my office as well with all the
Yes.
drips on it and it's perfect.
And something about Googling things that are in your head and you can just find them magically online. It is so great when you think about something even like Phantom of the Opera, very much like Wizard of Oz, a very classic story with very classic imagery, very standard things that you can pull out as props. I mean, the
Mhm.
Wizard of Oz is pretty limitless on a lot of different interpretations, at least as far
Yes,
as
it
I feel
is.
like I feel like our interpretation was great. I think the color tones we used were perfect between the emerald greens and the ruby reds, and then all of a sudden, bam, the yellow brick road. Everything, I feel like everything that we used was just beautifully done. And then when we did the Phantom of the Opera, it was the same way where I felt like it gave everything that we needed to tell the whole story with a theme without being too overly
Right.
cosplayish, I guess is
Mhm.
the next word.
No, and it wasn't at all. We just gave it a new, more modern twist. We brought
Yeah.
in and not totally modern, but the steampunk, which gives you back to, the that era of time. I'm on a meeting. Bye bye. Um, Amelia. So yeah, we just gave it a total spin, but the story was still there, and we were able to cover it all.
Yeah, and I really I loved how everybody, and actually when I spoke with Jasmine, she was like, thank you for including an officiant. She's like, a lot of styled shoots forget to even include
They don't.
officiants. And I was like, you're right. I was like, and then for me, like I said, I need to work it like a real wedding. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, the real weddings need officiants, whether they're doing a
Mhm.
regular ceremony or those wonderful vows and speeches that we got to read. And I even did a video for Brian of vows and speeches. And I was like, so I have all this great content that I can't wait to share with the world because we had so many great things that we were doing with this photo shoot that I felt like were just amazing and inspiring. And it keep inspiring me because I keep looking at the photos and I just cannot wait to share them because we have so many things that we did on that day, including like
Yeah.
2 different floral bouquets. We had this beautiful cake and we had a sweetheart table, and then we had Lizzy Gator, which was a whole other art installment in its shape and form.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we wrap up our little chat today, is there anything else that we want to add in for, say anybody, like even couples out there that are very inspired to take a theme and run with it? Are there any suggestions or insights that you would give to couples that as they're
Definitely
thinking
go
about
with your
stuff?
heart. If that's what you want to do, it's your special day. You do it the way you want to do it. Who cares what, your great aunt on your father's side says? No, it's your day. She's not even going to be around years from now. And your grandchildren are going to think it's cool. Oh my God, my grandmother and grandfather did that? Fine, go for it. Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that because that's a lot of times what I tell couples. I recently was at a wedding expo and I said, if you want to go to the courthouse, or if you want to do the backyard, if you want to do the big yard, if you want to do the big wedding, the small wedding, whatever it looks like for you, I said, let's just go with it. I support you, whatever it looks like. And so that makes me really excited to know that we can take themes no matter what they are, and we can be as subtle as our couples need, or we can
Mhm.
be as over the top as we need to be,
Oh, yeah.
which
I,
is
and
great.
I
I
can tell
felt
you from
like
my opinion, I had with my present husband, we had two weddings. Our first wedding was a Halloween wedding. Nobody knew. They came for a Halloween party and they ended up for a wedding. And we had the time of our lives. I was dressed as a snow leopard and my husband was a lion tamer. And of course, then we had the beautiful wedding out in Cabo. So, like I said, it's fun. Have fun with it. It's your day. It's a day that you should be able to relax and just do whatever you want to do. And that's it.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And let's see if there's anything else I wanted to add. Well, I'm just so thankful that you were a part of the team. We had lots and
Yes.
lots of fun. And I look
Definitely.
forward to sharing all of this with the world. This is why I wanted to
Yes.
do this today, because we have so many amazing things to share with the world, including your cake and, well, this cake. It's all
Yes.
reversed.
Yeah, it is.
Including the cake, and then also the help with the Munchkin Tower, which was awesome.
Yes.
And then of
Anytime.
course my favorite, the funnel veil, which I cannot wait to show everybody the details on that because it was just an obsession that I had to see come to life. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. And it's here whenever you want it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
anytime I need another 10 person to get married. Absolutely.
that's right. That's right. We need to do a mermaid shoot. That's what we need to do.
Yes, I
Definitely.
think that's on our idea list next, and I think
Yes.
we have some things that we're gonna probably put together, and we'll tease y'all a little bit that we probably have some
All
things
right.
coming up.
Sounds good.
And then so I will go ahead and close out the interview. Hopefully y'all are inspired by this Wizard of Oz styled elopement,
Yes.
knowing that just because it's not a real wedding or it's not a real elopement does not mean it is not full of inspiration, ideas, creativity, and vendors that truly care about whatever theme you are doing, whether it is subtle, whether it's over the top. Understand that we as creatives get you, and we want to help you have the best day possible.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right, so have a great day, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Okay. Sounds great. Bye.